From the station that made country music famous, 650 AM WSM, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Hey, it's Charlie Matos, and in this episode, we sit down with the Isaacs. They joined us in studio the morning of August the 10th of 2021. We would feature music from their new album, The American Face. They were getting set to play the Tuesday Night Opry, and lo and behold, that night, they would be invited to become the newest members of the Grand Ole Opry. Enjoy our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast with the Isaacs.
The American Face from the Isaacs in studio this morning on Coffee, Country, and Cody. And they took a page out of Horace Greeley's great quote, Charlie Matos, except they went east, young man, instead of west, young man. They started out west in that video, worked their way back home to the Grand Ole Opry, where you will be tonight. Thanks for getting up early and coming in and sharing that with us.
Well, thanks for having us.
For people who know your family, there were a number of cameos. In addition to the stars of the video, there are a number of cameos in there, too.
Right.
So who did we see?
A lot of friends and family. All three of my little kids are in there. Becky's daughter and son, and
my wife and kids were working.
Yeah. a lot of friends. So.
Yeah. It was really fun as we gathered on the bridge to sing. People just came in from everywhere, and it was amazing because it really was the American face. Every race and from all over the United States and around. Yeah,
people were just walking by the bridge there in Nashville while we were just out there recording the video, and they're like curious. So
they're like, "I'm the American
You want to be in our video?" And here, sign this release form, and they did, and they stayed for like an hour, and we got all kinds of cool shots with them. And so a lot of those extras were just strangers.
On our trip out west, the same thing happened. I mean, we'd park the bus somewhere, and people would drive and say, "What is this? What's it?" And they wanted to be a part of it.
So these are real life locals from different stops across America. So where were some of the? I mean, the visual is terrific. Where were some of the places that you stopped or we saw in the video?
Oh man, all the hot spots. We didn't know when we did the video. We left. We filmed it backwards. Mm-hmm. We filmed it on the bridge at Leaper's Fork. That was our first filming, and then we went to Oklahoma City that night, and then got on Route 66, and then continued out for another. All that was shot in 3 days, and there was a group of 5 people that were traveling with us and in separate cars that would go 30 minutes ahead of us and say, "Pull off here." This is really cool. So it was just like, for me, being type A is like, where are we going? How am I going to get the bus turned around?
We stopped in Memphis. We stopped at that lake in Arkansas where we hold our hands up. We did. We were out in the Sedona area.
It happened so quick.
Yeah. What's that little diner? Texas, Sherman, Texas. So it was just all along the way. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Charlie Matos, tell them about your vacation dream trip and your wife's response. See, so you missed an opportunity not knowing that you could have ridden with the Isaacs.
Right. True story. So I'm in Albuquerque about 15 years ago with Vanderbilt basketball. Had no idea Route 66 ran through it, but I'm enamored by that kind of thing. So I come home and I say, hey, listen, when we have like a week or two that we can take off, I've got a great idea. And my wife's eyes light up because she's already thinking London, Rome, Paris. I'm like, hey, I think we should rent a car and do as much of the old Route 66 as we can and stay in the old hotels and eat at the old diners. And she's like, you want me to use 2 weeks of my vacation time and stay in old hotels and eat diner food? Call Bill. He'll go with you. That is the verbatim conversation.
Because that's right in my wheelhouse. Yes, we have yet to do it. But
the guy starts saying, I bet you haven't done it
Call
yet.
Bill. He'll go with
But when Route 66 popped up in that old neon script that you see along those old diners, I chuckled. I said, oh, Charlie, you missed a chance. So this song is just the artistry in the song as it is written, much less the performance. But give us the backstory. A Hall of Famer, Tom Douglas, who was involved in writing it.
And future Hall of Famer Jimmy Urey.
Okay.
That's my husband.
That's
I can say that.
Yes.
So, Jimmy and I wrote this with Tom Douglas back in 2014, believe it or not. And we've just kind of sat on it all these years, just waiting for the right opportunity to record it or pitch it. And, Tom came in the room that day, and he was talking about E pluribus unum, the United States motto from 1776, out of many, one. And he was talking about just America in general and how we started thinking about how even back then those 13 colonies realized that they were stronger and better united and together. And so that formed the United States. And, just that it takes all different kinds of people, races, religions, jobs to make America what it is. We're all valuable and we're all important to the American face. And so that's where the idea was born. And, of course, Tom, he can sit there and write a whole song like that and you just sit in the room and get credit. But and Jimmy, too. But I was just lucky to be in the room that day, honestly. And when we were picking songs for this new album, which we recorded this album in 2019, and so it was before we had such a hard year last year with such division and political division and social unrest and all the things with COVID and everything that happened last year. And so it feels like right now it was a great time for us to release this as a single and just say, look, we may have different opinions, but let's agree to disagree. And sometimes we have to fight for what we believe in, but we're the United States of America. Let's act like it. And so that's kind of where this song came from.
From a family that comes from Polish, Jewish immigrants, survivors of the Holocaust, I might add.
And I was going to add how personal this particular song is to us, simply because I'm an immigrant. My parents and I became American citizens when I was 9 years old, and we were so excited. It was like that was it, for us. We finally made it, and my children are firstborn Americans, so we're living the American dream because of America. Mm-hmm. So it's very personal to us.
You also picked, Lily, you said as the matriarch here, you picked this next song we're going to feature from the album. This was your idea. She made it quick to point out that this was my idea, this particular song.
Well, I had to get approval from my bosses. But when we were pitching songs, everybody in my generation loved the Beatles. They were like the most exciting thing on the music scene in the mid-'60s. And so I think I bought every Beatle record that ever came out, original, posters in my room. I went to the first Beatles concert at Shea Stadium. It was amazing. So this song just stayed in my mind because it's so relevant for today. It's a great song. So I talked him into it, and we've had fun with it.
She also remembers going to Woodstock.
One of the few who remembers being at Woodstock.
But the feather stuck. The feather stuck all these years.
That's Dr. Phil later this afternoon. So.
Well, interestingly enough, I was with Marty Stewart yesterday doing an interview for an upcoming television series, and Marty actually, in his early days, I saw pictures, had a Beatles tribute band.
No kidding.
They were called like the Beatles Review or something. I'm sure they were big in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
Man, I'd love to see his haircut.
Bell bottom.
So we're going here now, next, fellas. All right, and then we'll go to the break on Coffee, Country, and Cody from 650 AM WSM. It needs no introduction, so it doesn't get one. You'll know it immediately.
Try to see it my way. Do I have to keep on talking until I can't go on? While you see it your way.
Coffee, Country, and Cody.
The Isaacs in studio. You just heard Beatles music on WSM radio. We can work it out. And a little earlier, of course, The American Face, which is the title track of the album and the video that people got to see all over the world. And we welcome Dish to our Circle Television family these days. So you got to tell the dream. You got to tell the dream.
Man.
Ben, and the reason is, you remember when Mike Reed was on the show? And Mike Reed was talking, we were talking about superstitions among athletes.
Yeah.
And he says, I had this recurring dream that it was game day. Of course, Mike played famously as a college All-American at Penn State for Joe Paterno, and then he played for the Bengals.
Where we watched.
Yeah, he was an All-Pro. Yeah, he was an All-Pro, played for Paul Brown, and he said, you remember, Charlie, when Mike said, I had this recurring dream that it was game day, and I was ready to go, and I couldn't find my cleats.
Oh.
I was sitting in my locker, and my cleats were nowhere to be found.
Wow.
And he said, I dreamed this thing for years while I was playing in the air. So you had a dream, Ben Isaacs.
Dreamed. Well, first of all, we've got so much going on today. Tonight's a huge night for us, and everything from the party to we're having after the Opry, we're having a little get together for all the friends that are coming. We have like 300 people coming in just for this album release. So it's I go to bed last night and I woke up angry. I don't know why I was angry, but I dreamed that we were playing the stage of the Opry, and half the curtain closes. Those of you that have been there notice this sometimes between, but only half of it closed. And I dreamed it was during one of our songs, and I woke up to Sonia crawling under the curtain to be seen by the audience.
That's real life, Ben. What do you mean? It's a dream.
I'm going to do that tonight.
She had her mandolin on and everything. She was protecting the room and crawling under the curtain.
You know what happened to Elvis in Vegas? Literally. They used to drop the curtain at the end of the show, and he mistimed where he was supposed to be, and the curtain fell on him. So he's like digging himself out of the curtain to do the thing with the cake.
That's kind of what I saw.
Well, if you look around the green room, you will see a picture of the night that the curtain failed, and there are it's like 3 or 4 of the cast members are holding the curtain up, and I want to say Gene Shepard is there, maybe Hank Snow, so that they can continue to roll on until they can figure out how to get the curtain go back up. Yeah, it's among those on the walls in the green room. You take a tour of the Opry.
Well, they say it's not the mistakes you make; it's how you recover.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Sonia's going to recover for us tonight. That's going to find her way through the crowd.
So, am I right? 2021 marks like the 50th anniversary
for me.
Yep, for the Isaacs.
For the Isaacs, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what was the original group?
The original group was myself and my husband, and then we had a couple of guys that joined us. Like I forgot Leroy Ramsey, and then there's several community players. Mm-hmm. So we just started doing churches on Sunday, and then it got more popular and popular. And as the kids were born, they all just picked up an instrument of choice, and they just started playing. I mean, I think Sonia was 7 when she started playing mandolin with us, and Ben was about 10 or 12 when he picked up the bass, and Becky, she's about 12 years old. So once they started playing, the band members, we just replaced them. So in 1971 is when we actually started singing. So it's been 50 years for me, and they were just thrown into it, born into it.
We got a spanking if we didn't play.
That's right.
You cover Shania on this album?
I tried. That's
she
that's my girl crush.
She nails it. Don't tell everything, Becky. Shania, if you're listening, Becky loves you. She wants to meet you.
Yeah, she's one of the few.
She wants to go on vacation with you.
Heroes. I've not had it. I want to go down Route 66 with her.
Shania, Charlie, and Becky Isaacs on a road trip. I'll call Renee and get permission. Okay,
have you a driver?
I'll be your wingman. I'll get this done, Charlie.
Well, we've had the privilege to meet so many of our friends and sing on so many of our friends' records in country, and so I've just been a huge Shania fan. And when we were picking out songs for this record, they were like, "You've got to do your Shania song," and I'm like, "Okay."
Do you want to do it here? Do we have time to do it here?
Watch this.
Charlie is doing his magic fingers
Charlie
routine over there. So you're on Coffee Country and Cody with the Isaacs. An American Face. That's the new album. And this is on there. This is Becky leading out.
In your arms, I can still feel the way you want me when you hold me. I can still hear the words you whispered when you told.
Coffee, Country, and Cody.
As deep as can be, but not so deep as the love I mean. I know not how.
The Isaacs from An American Face. Becky, that is live, I am told. Just one time through?
Absolutely. We went in the studio, and Brian Sutton, who produced this record, said, you need to do a live recording of The Water is Wide, and it's a full circle moment for us because Sony and I actually sang that on one of his solo guitar records about 25 years ago, and since then it's brought us to be able to sing background for Dolly Parton and a lot of cool
tell them
things.
the Dolly story. This is terrific.
Yeah, so Brian plays on Dolly's records, and I guess that she had got a copy of his CD back then and said, I want those girls that sang them girls that sang The Water is Wide on Brian's CD to come sing background. And so since then we've had the privilege to sing on about 4 or 5 of Dolly's records. So
thanks, Brian.
Yeah, but that was live. Brian's idea was put a mic in the studio and just do it top to bottom and stand around it, and that's what you got.
You tell a great backstory on the two characters in the song in your live show.
I do, because this is a Scottish song, and the translation has gotten really interesting, I think, by the time it came to English. So I just tell all the lovebirds to hold hands and figure it out, because I'm really confused. These people are in love, but they can't get to one another, and it's very dysfunctional. There's a water, and they can't get to each other, but, like, they're rowing,
The Water is Wide, also called Whaley Whaley, or possibly Wally Wally. I'm not sure how they would pronounce that in the Scottish accent, but it's a folk song of Scottish origin. The lyrics partly date back to the 1600s.
Wow.
And the version I first heard that really stuck with me was James Taylor's version of it some years ago. And I've heard Garrison Keillor reference it because Keillor's a Scottish name on Prairie Home Companion, and it still remains popular. It wasn't published, however, in a town full of publishers. Cecil Sharp published the song Folk Songs from Somerset in 1906.
Wow.
So there's a little history on The Water is Wide.
Thank you.
No, I read stuff. And on occasion, Sonia, I comprehend.
Right?
Not always, but
Preach, preacher.
the Isaacs are at the Opry tonight. It is album release day, but also tell them about the availability of the record, Sonia.
So the album is available for pre-order now, and it will be available. It comes out this Friday, the 13th.
3 days.
So you can pre-order it now, or you can wait 3 days. You can download it. It will be on everywhere music is sold, and you can order it on theisaacs.com if you want to get an actual copy of it. And I recommend that because the artwork looks so cool, and it's got a lot of pictures from our tour out to Sedona and filming of the American Face and stuff like that. So it's a special album. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this. We've always recorded songs that were more of a secular nature on all of our albums, 1 or 2. But this is the first time we've had a whole album just dedicated to that. Life, love, and the lack thereof, somewhat. And so it was really neat. We've had a lot of requests to do something like this. And it really made sense with where we are in our performing career. We do a lot of performing arts centers and things like that. And people don't maybe not necessarily know our music that well. And we thought, let's go in and cut some cover songs so that they can relate to us right off the bat. And so we did 6 covers and 6 originals, and it was a lot of fun. We all got to bring to the table our favorite songs and try to re-record them Isaac style.
I remember you guys zooming in with us early on in the pandemic and quarantine. We didn't know what the heck we were doing, and
Still
you did a Chicago song.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Which one is it?
You're the inspiration.
You're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration. We had some
Ben worked us to
crazy
idea.
idea. Acapella.
How long did it take us to record that, Ben?
That song is the hardest acapella I think we've ever cut in our lives because the chord arrangements are totally built for a piano, not for acapella. And the original only has 2 parts, not 4 parts. So the blends are weird, but we probably rehearsed that song for 3 days prior to the studio. And I say long days, long full days of just learning section by section.
Yeah,
so.
this is a little bit.
In my heart, in my soul, baby, you're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration. You bring feeling to my life. You're the inspiration.
I played it new on vinyl by Chicago early in my radio career.
We're taking you back.
But the Isaacs are up tonight. They actually close the Opry and celebrate the release of the album. Riders in the Sky will open tonight. You got any cowboy songs on here?
Probably the Never Too Late for Love would be the most cowboy. Yes. Well, maybe if you were a cowboy in Hawaii.
What are you saying?
You'll hear.
Lainey Wilson, who is the August Opry Next Stage artist. She was a guest on the show yesterday. For the early audience, we encored that this morning. Mark Wills is in. Yeah. I've never heard the guy sing a bad note.
Me either.
Yeah. So good.
He's amazing.
I was so impressed with him. He did, when Vince was sick the night, and Vince called him out to sing his song.
I hosted that
in the same key.
Yes, I hosted.
And I was like,
you did it?
Mark, yes, he killed it.
And he didn't look nervous at all. I mean, it was just like Vince called him out, and he said, "Hey, man, I was singing those Vince Gill songs down there at the Buckboard outside of Atlanta." So
nailed it.
I got this.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Daly and Vincent will be there. Jeannie Seeley, Ricky Skaggs, Craig Morgan, and the Isaacs. It is a great Tuesday night lineup.
It'll be fun.
And you guys get 5 songs, is that right?
5 songs.
All right.
And you're hosting it.
I will be hosting.
Yeah.
And
your last name should have been Isaac.
Lily has adopted me in along the way.
Coffee Country and Isaac.
Got to redo the jingles now.
Yeah,
the voiceover stuff. And again, it is available. You can go to the World Wide Web and find out more. People Magazine did a feature on you too, didn't they?
Yeah, People.com. They premiered the video when it came out on their website too, and so it was pretty cool.
Well, we close with, what have we decided on? We have picked every song off this album. We're only going to play the one that Charlie hits, okay? That's the one that ultimately is going on the air.
This is the Hawaiian song.
And, is it?
Yeah.
Charlie's holding up 4. He's giving me 4 over there. So give me the backstory on Never Too Late for Love.
Becky and I wrote this song with our friend Tim Nichols, and this is a song that we just kind of wanted something that had a nice, easygoing feel. We love the Eagles and Linda Ronstadt, some of the stuff she's done, and so we just sat down one day and we just started. I had this title, Never Too Late for Love, because one of my favorite things is to see older couples find each other, and it's never too late for love. You never know. One morning you might wake up miserable, and by that evening you're on the phone with somebody you just met, and then your life changes forever. So it's never too late for love.
Cried through the bad breaks, survived all the heartaches, while time just slipped through the glass.
We're on a road trip. We're on Route 66. Except I won out now because Frank Friedman, apparently one of our great sponsors, has decided.
Yes, Frank has mapped it out. He's ready to go.
Let me out. I went out right here.
I bet he's got all the dry goods, too.
Yeah, you want to bring him. Sleeping bags, you name it.
The American Face, and you just heard Never Too Late for Love, and that is dreamy. That is the perfect word Charlie Matos said off air just a moment ago. 2 years in the making, and tonight they're going to turn it loose on you at the Grand Ole Opry. Again, where is it available?
TheIsaacs.com. That's got 2 A's and an S on the end.
Okay. Just like in the Bible. That's right. That's
with
how
an S
you know.
on the end.
Thanks so much for getting up early and coming in and sharing your incredible talent. And I look forward to seeing you tonight when the big red curtain goes up at 7 o'clock. All right?
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Our program director at WSM Radio is J. Patrick Tittle. Our digital producer is Haley Hall. Marketing and promotions director is Amanda Cannon. And I'm Charlie Matos. If you like what you've heard, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help new people find the show.